I seek refuge in God from the Satan in the name of Allah, His gracious, merciful. Quran topics by Tanvir Kazmi, chapter number 103 and 165, English audio number 3, Trade, Business Guidelines. Al-In'am, Surah 6, verse 118. You shall eat from that upon which God's name has been pronounced, if you truly believe in His revelations. Why should you not eat from that upon which Allah's name has been mentioned? He has detailed for you what is prohibited for you, unless you are forced. Indeed, many people mislead others with their personal opinions without knowledge. Your Lord is fully aware of their transgressions. Your Lord is fully aware of the transgressors. You shall avoid obvious sins as well as the hidden ones. Those who have been earned sins surely pay for their transgressions. Do not eat from that upon which the name of God has not been mentioned, for it is an abomination. The devils inspire their allies to argue with you. If you obey them, you will be idol worshippers. Al-Nahl, Surah 16, verse 114. Therefore you shall eat from Allah's provisions everything that is lawful and good, and be appreciative of God's blessings. If you do worship Him alone, He only prohibits for you dead animals, blood, the meat of pigs, and food which is dedicated to other than God. If one is forced to eat these without being deliberate or malicious, then Allah is forgiver most merciful. You shall not utter lies with your own tongue, stating, "This is lawful and this is unlawful," to fabricate lies and attribute them to God. Surely those who fabricate lies and attribute them to God will never succeed. They enjoy briefly, then suffer painful punishment. Al-Araf, Surah 7, verse 26. O children of Adam, who have provided you with the garments to cover your bodies, as well as for luxury. But the best garment is the garment of righteousness. These are some of Allah's signs that they may take heed. O children of Adam, do not let the devil dupe you as he did when he caused the eviction of your parents from paradise and the removal of their garments to expose their bodies. He and his tribe see you while you do not see them. We appoint the devils as companions of those who do not believe. Al-Araf, Surah 7, verse 31. O children of Adam, you shall be clean and dressed nicely when you go to the mosque, and eat and drink moderately. Surely he does not love the gluttons. Al-Azab, Surah 33, verse 59. O Prophet, tell your wives, your daughters, and the wives of the believers that they shall lengthen their garments. Thus they will be recognized and avoid being insulted. Allah is forgiver, most merciful. Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, verse 219. They ask you about intoxicants and gambling. Say in them there is a gross sin and some benefits for the people, but their sinfulness far outweighs their benefit. They also ask you what to give to charity. Say the excess. Allah thus clarifies the revelations for you that you may reflect. Al-Ma'idah, Surah 5, verse 90. O you believe, intoxicants and gambling and the altars of idols and the games of chance are abominations of the devil. You shall avoid them, that you may succeed. The devil wants to provoke animosity and hatred among you. The devil wants to provoke animosity and hatred among you through intoxicants and gambling, and to distract you from remember God and from observing prayers. Will you then refrain? You shall obey Allah and you shall obey the Messenger. And beware, if you turn away, then know that sole duty of our Messenger is to deliver the message efficiently. Al-Nisa, Surah 4, verse 92. No believer shall kill another believer. No believer shall kill another believer unless it is an accident. If one kills a believer by accident, they shall atone by freeing a believing slave and paying compensation to the victim's family, unless they forfeit such compensation as a charity. If the victim belong to the people who are at war with you, Though he was a believer, you shall atone by freeing a believing slave. If they belong to people with whom you have signed a peace treaty, you shall pay the compensation in addition to freeing a believing slave. If you cannot find a slave to free, you shall atone by freeing 2 consecutive months in order to be redeemed by God. God is nowhere most wise. Anyone who kills a believer on purpose, his punishment is hell, wherein he will abide. God is angry with him and condemns them and has prepared for them a terrible punishment. O you believer, if you strike in cause of God, you shall be absolutely sure. Do not say to one who offers you peace, you are not a believer, seeking the spoils of this world, for Allah possesses infinite spoils. Remember that you used to be like them, and God bless you. Therefore, you shall be absolutely sure God is fully aware of everything you do. Al Ma'idah, Surah 5, verse 27. Recite for them the true history of Adam's 2 sons. They made an offering, and it was accepted from one of them, but not from the other. He said, I will surely kill you. He said, God accepts only from the righteous. God accepts only from the righteous. If you extend your hand to kill me, I am not extending my hand to kill you, for I fear God, Lord of the universe. I want you, not me, to bear my sin and your sin, and then you end up with the dwellers of the hellfire. Such is the reward for the transgressors. His ego provoked him into killing his brother. He killed him and ended up with the losers. Allah then sent a raven to scratch the soil to teach him how to bury his brother's corpse. He said, woe to me! I failed to be as intelligent as this raven and bury my brother's corpse. He became ridden with remorse. Because of this, we decreed for the children of Israel that anyone who murders any person who had not committed murder or horrendous crimes, it shall be as if he murdered all the people. And anyone who spares a life, it shall be as if he spared the lives of all the people. Our messengers went to them with clear proofs and revelations, but most of them, after all this, are still transgressors. Al-Inam, Surah 6, verse 151. Say, come, let me tell you what your Lord has really prohibited for you. You shall not set up idols beside him. You shall honor your parents. You shall not kill your children for fear of poverty. We provide for you and for them. You shall not commit gross sins, obvious or hidden. You shall not kill. God has made life sacred, except in the course of justice. These are his commandments to you that you may understand. Bani Israel, Surah 17, verse 33. You shall not kill any person, for Allah has made life sacred, except in the course of justice. If one is killed unjustly, then we give his heir authority to enforce justice. Thus he shall not exceed the limits in avenging the murder. He will be helped. Al Ma'idah, Surah 5, verse 38. The thief, male or female, cut off their hands as a punishment for their crime, and to serve as an example from Allah. God is Almighty, most wise. If one repents after committing this crime and reforms, God redeems him. God is forgiver, most merciful. Do not know that? Do you know that? Do you not know that God possesses the sovereignty of the skies and the earth? He punishes whomever He wills and forgives whomever He wills. God has power over everything. Al Araf, Surah 7, verse 80. Lord said to his people, you commit such an abomination, no one in the world has done it before. You practice sex with men instead of the women. Indeed, you are a transgressing people. His people responded by saying, evict them from your town. Evict them from your town. They are people who wish to be pure. Consequently, we saved him and his family, but not his wife. She was with the doomed. We showered them with a certain shower of rocks. Note the consequences for the guilty. Al Baqarah Surah 2, verse 280. If the debtor is unable to pay, wait for a better time. If you give up the loan as a charity, it would be better for you if you only knew. Beware of the day when you return to God and every soul is paid for everything it has done without the least injustice. O you believe, when you transact a loan for any period, you shall write it down. An impartial scribe shall do the writing. No scribe shall refuse to perform this service according to God's teaching. They shall write while the debtor dictates the terms. They shall observe Allah his Lord and never cheat. If the debtor is mentally incapable or helpless or cannot dictate, his guardian shall dictate equitably. Two men shall serve as witnesses. If not two men, then a man and two women, whose testimony is acceptable to all. Thus, if one woman becomes by forget, th- if one woman becomes forget, the other will remind her. It is obligation of the witnesses to testify when called upon to do so. Do not tire of writing the detail, no matter how long, including the time of the repayment. This is equitable in the sight of God, assures better witnessing, and eliminates any doubts you may have. Business transactions that you execute on the spot need not to be recorded, but have them witnesses. No scribe or witness shall be harmed on account of his services. If you harm them, it would be wickedness on your part. You shall observe God, and Allah will teach you. God is all knowing. Sadaqallahu Azim.